Party people. Well, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer, and this week on the show, we are joined by Moxie Buttercup for a game of The Excellence by Ninth Level Games. The Excellence is a game about being an excellent princess in an awesome cartoon world. It is a family-friendly, all-ages appropriate game about cool princesses with swords and crowns and the responsibility to keep awesome world awesome and safe. It is a wonderful, joyous game that I loved playing. I've played it several times at this point, and every time it leaves the biggest smile on my face. Also, I should mention that all the princesses are in a band and they play music together. It is a game full of joy and heart and wonder and magic, and whether you are a child or a child at heart, as the old cliche goes, I think this game has a lot for you. You can find more information about The Excellence at ninthlevel.com, or you can check the show notes for more information. Now, as for our host, this is a very special episode, because Moxie Buttercup is a rosy maple mothlet and the spokespixie for the Lullaby Lounge Novelty Hour, a multimedia musical variety show hosted by friend of the show, Kate Nix, on her Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Kate Nix, Tuesdays at 8 p.m., the season finale of which airs tomorrow, October 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern. I am a cast member on the Lullaby Lounge Novelty Hour. I've done some videos, skits, I'm all over the show, it's great. It is a show that is very close to my heart. It is a show that I love. If you love music and puppets and magic and skits, you will love the Lullaby Lounge. I think it is a really special thing. But I'll also leave Moxie to talk about the Lullaby Lounge Novelty Hour because Moxie is admittedly a very good spokespixie. But yeah, the Lullaby Lounge is great. You should watch it tomorrow, October 26th, 8 p.m. Eastern. I am there. I'm going to be in the chat. I'm going to be on the video. It's great. It's a show that is very special to me. You should check it out. Also, a quick technical note, speaking of Kate Nix, friend of the show and award-winning polymath of stage and stream, Kate does join us on this episode to accompany Moxie and to roll dice for Moxie. So I guess this is technically a three-person episode of the show, but you know what? Even though there were three people on the Zoom call, this episode still has that really magical two-person energy. I don't know how to explain it. I guess it's just pixie magic. You can find Moxie on Twitter at It's Me, Moxie B. You can find Kate on Twitter at The Goblin Mother, and you can find the Lullaby Lounge Novelty Hour at katenix.com/lounge or at twitch.tv/katenix. And with all that said, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week is a very, very special episode. It is an episode that is very close to my heart that I have been very excited about for a very long time because I have a very special guest here. My guest this week is Moxie Buttercup. Moxie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. I'm so excited to be doing my first podcast with you.
I am so excited. I know that we've done some work on the Lullaby Lounge together, and I'm excited that you're joining me on the podcast. This is going to be a wonderful experience for both of us.
Yeah, I have Kate here helping me roll the dice because I can't really do it with how my hands work, but I'm so excited to be playing as a princess, right?
You are going to be playing as a princess, but before we talk about the game that we are playing, why don't you take a moment to let the lovely listeners at home know about any projects that you or Kate are working on that you might want the listeners at home to know about.
Well, hi, I'm Moxie Buttercup. I am the spokespixie for the Lullaby Lounge Novelty Hour, which is a variety show that my friend Kate Nix produces. And she does it on Twitch and YouTube and sometimes Facebook when it works right. And I'm there too, and I help the production, and I talk about it online on my Instagram and Twitter. I'm not allowed to have Facebook because the professor says that Zuckerberg's data mining is killing democracy.
That is, the professor has a very good point about Facebook, and I appreciate that they're looking out for you like this. Okay. So, Moxie, where can people find the Lullaby Lounge?
You can find the Lullaby Lounge on katenix.live. That's KATELYX.live. Which is our Twitch channel, which is the best place to join because that's where the chat is the funnest and it's where we have the most, party time.
It's true. That's also where I hang out. Also, I should mention that I am a cast member on the Lullaby Lounge. You and I have filmed some skits together, and we filmed some extra stuff, and it's wonderful, and I fully endorse it with all of my heart. But that's also for past me. That's also for future me to talk about in the intro.
Because we're in the past now.
We're in the past now. Future me is going to do the intro and outro, and he will talk all about the Lullaby Lounge. That's work for future me.
Yeah.
But for this week, we are playing a game. As you mentioned, we are playing a game about princesses. We are playing The Excellence by Ninth Level Games. This is a game about princesses. This is a game for excellent princess role-playing. You've got a sword, you've got a crown, you've got a beast best friend, and you are going to go on an adventure, and you are going to save the day and make some friends along the way.
I am very good at all of those things.
I know. This is why this is the perfect game for you, Moxie, is because this is a game that plays to your strengths.
It's also my colors, too.
It is. The color... Let's see, I'm very good at picking games for my guests, and I
That's
feel like
why
I really nailed it this time.
You are the #1 games wizard, Jeff Stormer.
Exactly right I am. And don't you forget it.
I never could.
That was for the listeners, not necessarily for you, Moxie, because I know you'd never forget it, but the listeners need to be reminded. So I'm going to read us a brief little intro, and then I will walk you through the character creation process. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
So there you were, just living your life, doing the things that regular kids or regular pixie kids do when, bam, there's an explosion of light and sound, and you find yourself in Awesome World.
Wow.
You've earned a sword, you've won a crown, and now you have a responsibility to keep safe Awesome World and keep Awesome World awesome. But there's one question. Moxie, are you princess enough to save the day?
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is, but if there's anybody that I believed was up to the challenge, it's my friend Moxie Buttercup.
Well, I don't have my wings yet, but I will do my best.
That's all we can do. So we are going to make your princess character. I'm going to read you a couple examples from the book. And then if you would like to play one of these examples, you can play these characters, or we can walk you through how to make your own character.
Okay.
A few examples of characters are Laser Princess, Heavy Metal Princess, Library Book Princess, Maple Syrup Princess, Tomato Princess. And that's all of them. I thought there were more, but that's all of them. Do you want to make your own character, or would you like to play one of these characters?
Well, I want to play the Maple Syrup Princess because I'm actually a Rosie Maple Mothlet.
Okay, perfect. So, I'm going to ask Kate in the book to go to page 70. We have a character sheet. And we have a character sheet that I will talk you through. You have a few different characteristics that I will explain to you how they work. And then we will introduce how the rules work for the game. And then we will kind of walk you through a scenario.
Page 7, you said?
Page 70.
70. Okay.
It's like page 73 in the PDF, and listed in the PDF, and the page number is 70.
Hey. I think these are the stats. Okay.
Yes.
Got them.
All right. So Moxie, I'm going to explain to you how your character has a few key things. Maple Syrup Princess has a few things that define what make a princess. And I'm going to ask you, if you're okay with it, if you're okay doing some reading out loud, I'm going to ask you to read out loud a few of the items on this page. Are you okay with that?
I think so.
Okay. So first and foremost, every princess has a realm. Every princess has a place that they defend, a place that they rule over, a place that they protect more than anything else, more than ruling, more than living. It's a place that they protect and they keep awesome. Can you read to me what Maple Syrup Princess's realm is?
Sugar maples everywhere.
Oh, excellent. Great job. Excellent job. Every princess has a crown. A crown is the symbol that you're a princess. So a crown in the game, what a crown represents is when you... Have you ever seen someone do something that was just really, really cool, Moxie? Really, really next level, amazing and cool?
Yeah, have you ever seen Smargo Starlux dance?
I have. It's incredible. When you roll your crown, which for Maple Syrup Princess is the number 6, you will do a crown, which is you do something really, really incredible and impressive. You also have, every princess also has a beast best friend. Can you tell me what your beast best friend is?
Bucky, the sentient bucket.
Your best friend is a sentient bucket.
That's silly.
It's very silly. But you know what? Silly is fun. And you know, what's life without being a little silly?
I agree.
Actually, Moxie, I forgot something. Can you read me what it says your Maple Syrup Princess's crown is?
Oh, Oh, yeah, of course. Ahem. A blob of maple syrup with super strong surface
Tension.
tension. MP can manipulate it into different shapes and have a tasty treat whenever they want.
Exactly. So surface tension means that it's very sticky and it holds together very, very well.
Oh.
If you've ever seen a drop of water land on a table and it forms a perfect little ball, that's surface tension. The surface of the water is holding together and forming it into that ball. This maple syrup crown is holding together into the shape of a crown perfectly well on your head and never drips down or melts or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't want my fur to get sticky.
No, it's not. Your fur is never going to get sticky because this crown is really special.
It's magic maple syrup?
It's magic maple syrup. The kind of magic maple syrup that you protect over as Maple Syrup Princess. You have a book. Every princess has a book. Learning things is really important for princesses and for people like us. Tell me what your book is.
The Care and Feeding of Trees.
Obviously, maple syrup comes from trees, as we all know. And so you have a book that will, when you want to, in play, when you want to know things, when you want to learn things or understand things or gain knowledge, you're going to roll and you're going to use your book stat. Tell me what your shoes are. Every princess has really cool, really awesome shoes.
Boots.
You know, wading through maple syrup is not easy, and so having cool boots is really important.
Yeah, I imagine they're the kind I saw them on video. I imagine they're the kind, like fishers use? Like
100%,
fishermen's?
exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's the boots that are also, they become pants?
Yeah. Waders.
Yeah, boots pants.
Boots pants. And also, because every princess, you're going to use shoes every time you want to do really tough physical things. When you want to be, rough and tumble, rolling around, running from place to place, that's when I'm going to ask you to roll for shoes. And last but not least, you have two more things. Every princess has a cool sword. You've earned a cool sword. Tell me about Maple Syrup Princess's cool sword.
A giant Smith's Army knife with all the accessories.
It's got all the cool things in it. If you can imagine you've got a little pocket knife that has a cool thing in it, you tell me about that and it will be in your sword.
Well, I'm imagining, because it's a giant Smith's Army knife, I'm imagining that it's like as big as I am.
100%.
And it's pink.
Love it.
And all the blades are gold or rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got glitter cannons and a bubble machine.
Incredible. I love it.
And
can I tell you a secret?
What?
Can I tell you two secrets?
Maybe. Do I have to keep it?
It's on a podcast, so you can tell people if you want, because it's pretty cool, and I'm excited about both of them.
All right.
I have a rainbow-colored sword in my closet right now, and it's very cool, and I will show you a picture of it later, because it's extremely cool.
Kate, did you hear that? He said he had a rainbow sword!
I know, Moxie. It's very cool. It's extremely cool.
It is extremely cool. The other secret... Kate, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll see if we can find one on Etsy or something. Maybe Green Ant will make you one out of vinyl. I don't know. We'll talk about it after the podcast, okay?
Okay.
The other secret that I have for you is if during play you think to yourself, oh, I bet it would be really cool if my Smith's Army knife had this accessory. You can just tell me that at any time, and it'll be there. It'll just be in there.
Obviously, what else is the Smith's Army knife for?
Exactly. And last but not least, every princess has a heart, has things that they love and care about. What does Maple Syrup Princess care about? What is Maple Syrup Princess's heart?
Nature, which is perfect for me because I love nature.
Exactly. This is perfect. What a perfect character. I'm very excited to be playing this story with you. This is going to be really, really fun.
Quick note for Kate. Can you remind me which stats belong to which dice again?
So yeah, perfect, Kate. Thank you so much for asking that. I can run you through. I'm going to run through the mechanics right now. The cool thing about the game, The Excellence, is that you need one dice. You're only ever going to roll that D6 that is associated with Maple Syrup Princess.
Oh.
And the way that it works is, depending on the action that you're doing, you will roll that D6, and the number that you roll, if it's within the listed number range tied to that stat, which I'll go over in just a second, you succeed if you roll one of the numbers listed next to that stat. You do not succeed and something goes wrong if you do not roll a number in that range. But if you don't succeed in an action, you get a lesson, you learn something, which is a token that you can collect to automatically succeed at an action later.
Okay.
So the way that it works, I'm going to run through each of our stats and give a little bit of an overview of what the stat is and what numbers are associated with it. So your beast friend is tied to the number 1. If ever on your D6 you roll the number 1, your sentient talking bucket will pop back up and save the day. Books, which is learning things, knowing things, having a useful bit of information. If ever you want to roll a 2 or a 3 on your 6-sided dice. Shoes, which are big, exciting, scary things, big kind of physical actions and stunts, you're going to want to roll a 3, a 4, or a 5. Sword, which is fighting things and saving the day and doing cool princess sword stuff, that you would want to roll a 4, 5, or 6. Heart, which is making friends and being kind to people and learning lessons, then you'll want to roll a 5 or 6. And if ever you roll a 6 on your dice, that counts as crown, which is you doing something really cool and impressive and saving the day.
Okay, I've got it all written down. I've got all my notes managed. I will do the math, Moxie, if it's too much.
But I think I can do it. It's only up to 6. I can count to 6.
All right, well, I'll do the die for you.
All right, well, with that, I believe that we are ready to tell an adventure in the life of Maple Syrup Princess. Moxie, are you ready to play a game?
I'm so ready!
Excellent.
Yay!
So our story begins in... Moxie, what does Maple Syrup's bedroom look like? Where does Maple Syrup Princess spend their free time?
Well, I imagine that because she's a maple syrup princess, that she probably lives inside a big maple tree.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I imagine she's really small.
Mm-hmm.
So that way she can go through like a maple syrup tap slide to get out of the tree when she wants to go outside.
That makes a lot of sense. So you're inside of your maple syrup tree. You've got your whole living room set up, and you get an invite in the an envelope flies through the big open hole in this maple tree, and it is a flyer and a ticket to a very special event. Maple Syrup Princess, you've been invited to PrincessFest.
Wow. That sounds prestige.
That's a great use of that word.
Thank you.
It is prestigious. It is the biggest all of the coolest princesses are going to be there doing their princess thing. Laser Princess is going to be there doing a laser sword mock battle. Tomato Princess is going to be doing Tomato Princess's famous, hilarious comedy bit. All of the princesses are going to be doing their thing, and you, for the first time, have been invited to PrincessFest.
Do I have to have a talent?
You do, but luckily, you're a Maple Syrup Princess, and you've got lots of things that you're good at. So let me ask you this. What are you good at, Maple Syrup Princess?
Well, if I can manipulate the syrup crown, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if I used a light and I put the light behind my crown and I manipulate the crown into like stories, and I told a story and I used it as shadow puppets?
That's cool. I love that. That's exactly what you have been invited to do at PrincessFest.
Do I get to wear a dress?
You get to wear the coolest dress. You get to wear your favorite dress. What does your favorite dress look like?
Well, if you've seen the Lullaby Lounge novelty hour, you might have seen that my outfit that matches Margot Star Lux's outfit.
I have seen that outfit.
So I want that, but it's poofy and sparkly. So it's pink and it's poofy and it's sparkly, but maybe there's a part that goes over my shoulders and like maybe it's got stars on it or something.
That's so cool. I love it. It's fantastic.
Or a big maple leaf. Maybe it's made out of a maple leaf. Maybe I'm wearing a dress made out of a maple leaf.
I love it. That's perfect. That is because you're Maple Syrup Princess.
Uh-huh.
So you've got your dress, you've got your storytelling set up, but there's only one problem. This is across town and it's in an hour and you've got to get over there.
Oh no.
So let me ask you this, Maple Syrup Princess, how are you getting from your home deep in the woods all the way across town to the Princess City Awesome World Convention Center in an hour? It's probably a 3-hour trip if you were to walk.
I'm gonna get on, it's maple syrup, it's flying squirrels that are like public transportation, and they're flying squirrels, and I'm gonna go to a flying squirrel bus, and I'm gonna get on my flying squirrel bus and get there really fast because it can jump through the trees.
Understood. Well, you get to the bus stop, you see the flying squirrel coming, and I am going to ask, I think this is the first moment that I want to ask for a dice roll. Kate, can you roll me that D6 and tell me what number you land on?
Can do.
Wow!
Critical hit!
I got a 6.
So what happens? So you rolled your crown. So what happens here, when you roll your crown, that is considered an automatic success. And I think what happens is you climb on top of your flying squirrel bus, and it is a big, scary, bumpy ride. You know, you're flying through the air, you're dodging trees.
Is my dress okay?
Your dress, not only do you make it there safely, your dress is perfect. You land right at the red carpet of PrincessFest. You make a flawless entrance. You land, your syrup crown lands perfectly on your head. You hold on tight to the flying squirrel. You land flawlessly. You make a fabulous entrance. Everybody is oohed and awed. And you just look extremely cool.
Nice.
However, then something goes wrong.
No!
You hear a rumbling in the ground. And the ground beneath your feet starts to shake a little bit. You see big shadows coming over the horizon. Big, dark shapes in the ground. The rumbling in the ground is starting to get louder and louder. Until you see that there are bulldozers coming up around, and they seem to be coming right for the convention center.
We have to stop them.
How are you gonna stop them, Maple Syrup Princess?
I'm gonna gather all the princesses together, and we're gonna go lay in front of the bulldozers.
That sounds like you are trying to make friends with the other princesses in the area, and that sounds like that's a heart action.
So do I roll my dice?
Yes. You're gonna roll your 6-sided dice, and you want to get a 5 or a 6.
I'll do my best, Moxie.
It's a 2.
Well, here's what's going to happen. And the important thing in the excellence, when you are a princess, even if you don't succeed at your role, something good always comes from it. Moxie or Kate, you're going to take a token and you're going to set it aside. You're going to learn a lesson. Every failure brings with it a lesson. It is okay to fail at things because you learn things and they help you do better things down the road. So you're going to set aside a token. You can use that token anytime I ask you to take an action and roll a dice. You can choose to spend that token to immediately succeed. But what happens right now is you realize, you look around, and for all of the people that were around, the second bulldozer showed up, you realize that all of the people around you are construction workers. You see a bunch of tape. Something is wrong. PrincessFest doesn't seem to be happening here. In fact, all you see are big flyers for Boss Rat's big corporate theme park. It seems that someone has bought the convention center where PrincessFest was going to happen, and they're going to try and tear it down and build a theme park here. A big corporate, overpriced theme park where they're going to try and take people's money without really giving them anything in return.
Just so you know, I'm writing down Boss Rat's big corporate theme park so that I can make a knockoff Disney t-shirt that says this.
Good. Please do. So Moxie, there are no princesses around. You're standing here alone. Unfortunately, there's no one around. All you're gonna have to find another way to stop these bulldozers. They're coming. You see, sitting behind one of these bulldozers in a bright red suit with big round ears. You see him wearing a big yellow hard hat. Boss Rat, the corporate owner of all things big, expensive entertainment, is driving one of these bulldozers, laughing with his employees, coming to tear down this convention center. You've got no princesses around. You're going to have to stand up for PrincessFest and for this convention center and for Awesome World all on your own. Maple Syrup Princess, what do you do?
Nobody takes away my PrincessFest. I'm going to use my maple syrup crown to gum up the gears of the bulldozers.
That sounds like a great plan. I'm going to call that, even though you're not using your sword, I'm going to call that a sword action. Because when you're fighting and defending stuff, whenever you are fighting and defending things, you're going to roll your sword stat, and that's exactly what you're doing here.
I'll use my Smith's Army knife to open up the panel so I can put my syrup in there.
Perfect, exactly. Kate, roll me a d6. You want to roll a 4, 5, or 6?
Moxie, this is stressful. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm great under pressure.
That's right. Kate, we're both great under pressure. All three of us are great under pressure.
Oh,
we're
no.
doing this.
Jeff.
What'd you roll?
It's a 1.
Now, I know why you're scared, because that seems like it's not a good number.
That's the opposite of 6.
But can I tell you a secret?
Maybe, do I have to keep it?
Well, it's on a podcast, so everybody's going to hear it.
Oh, okay.
Every time you roll a 1, Bucky, your sentient bucket friend, finds a way to save the day.
Good old Bucky.
Good old Bucky.
See, Moxie, it's okay.
See, it's okay. You were with the power of friendship, you've always got a friend even when you don't realize it, and Bucky is here to help you save the day. Tell me how you and Bucky work together to stop these bulldozers in their tracks.
So, I scout the area for any maple trees, because all the maple trees are my friends.
Of course.
So I go to the maple trees with Bucky, and I get Bucky to fill himself up with the sap from the trees that they happen because I'm in control of the trees. And the sap goes in the bucket, and then I pour the bucket all over the people so they can get stuck and stop.
You walk up to the trees, and Bucky, your best friend is whispering as you walk up to the trees. You hold him in front of these trees, and he goes, let me at him. I'm gonna get these... And you pour the maple syrup onto the bulldozers. It gums up the tracks. They're not moving anywhere. They're stuck in the ground.
Yeah, like the bureaucracy that brought them here.
Exactly. And the construction workers are getting out, and they're trying to bang on the syrup, and they're getting stuck. And Boss Rat climbs over, steps across onto the shoulders of two construction workers that are stuck in maple syrup. Does not help them, and that's how you know that he's a bad guy, because we help our friends when they're in trouble.
Yeah, of course.
Just hops down on the ground, looks around, and with a big scowl on his face says, "Who here is stopping my bulldozers? Who here is stopping my latest construction project?"
It's me, Boss Rat, you big bully. I'm Maple Syrup Princess, and I'm here to protect nature and bring this entire operation to the ground. But not because I protect the ground, so to the... Wait, everywhere is nature.
Well, so you gotta protect everywhere.
I gotta protect everywhere, and from you, Mr. Bad Guy.
And he leans in close.
No.
And he says, "I'm tearing down this convention center and I'm building a theme park. Don't you know who I am?"
I just called you by your name.
That's a good point. Okay, hold on. I need to... Alright, so you know who I am, and then you should know... I was really expecting to do a whole bit. I'm kind of off my game now. It doesn't matter. We're tearing down this convention center.
It's already a convention center. Isn't that corporate enough?
No, we want more. It's not that money's going to the city and to the convention center. It's not going to Boss Rat Industries. We have so many intellectual properties to buy. Do you even know what an intellectual property is?
Of course I do. Half of my job is dealing with the IP of the Lullaby Lounge.
Well, then you should know that I want all of the IP. I want all of the intellectual property. I'm gonna own it, and I'm gonna buy it, and step one is opening a cool theme park where people can pay a lot of money to go on a bumper car ride.
Yeah, well, you know what I want?
What do you want?
I want you to spell out iCup.
iCup. All right, then, that's easy. I'm Boss Rat. I can do what I want. I see you, Pip. I see what you did there.
Excellent, Moxie.
Moxie, that was pretty good. Moxie, I'm going to tell you that was pretty good. And I think what happens at that moment is, Boss Rat, flustered because you get outsmarted him, goes, Dad, get this princess out of here, and snaps his fingers, and the scariest of Boss Rat's henchmen come to try and grab you. You see them emerge from the shadows. You see them emerge from the convention center. Do you know who the biggest and the scariest of Boss Rat's henchmen are? That's right, his lawyers. And they come hustling out with their briefcases, a swarm of them, dozens of them, and you're gonna have to either fight them off or get away from them or convince them to be on your side. How do you handle these litigious? That's a word that means they're really eager to sue people and take them to court.
Oh.
How do you handle these litigious henchmen that are coming to drag you off into copyright court?
Well, I'm going to take out my Swiss Army knife and use the projector on it to start doing a startup presentation for a small tech company to distract them.
That's really, really good, Moxie. I really like that. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to call this a books roll. This is you using your brains, your wits, your intelligence. I'm going to call this a books roll. Kate's going to roll.
What other part of me could have come up with an idea as good as that if not my brain?
Exactly. So I'm going to ask Kate to roll a d6, but because that's a really good idea and you made me laugh, I'm going to give you advantage on this roll. So what that
Moxie,
means...
do you know what advantage is?
Is that when you get to roll the die twice?
And take the result that is better suited for your needs, which in this case is either a 1, 2, 3, or 6.
All right,
so you're
Moxie.
going to roll twice and tell me what you get.
First one's a 4. Second one's a 1.
All right. So here's what happens, Moxie. I'm gonna tell you the first half of it, and then I'm gonna ask you to tell me what happens next. Are you okay with that?
Okay.
So the first thing that happens is the presentation comes up, and the lawyers are really, really excited about this opportunity to disrupt an industry and really drive revenue in a positive direction heading into fourth quarter. We're really seeing some opportunities to really build real relationships with an engaged, marketable, and this is going to go on for a while. So if you want to go get a snack, that's fine. Really build a real relationship with an engaged, market-ready audience. As this is happening, what do you and your beast best friend Bucky the Sentient Bucket do to finish how does Bucky help you distract and disarm these angry lawyers?
To disarm them, I start to talk about how everybody in the company would have equal shares and everybody would get paid the same and nobody is the CEO.
Oh, they get very scared at this fact. They get very scared at you talking about unions and equity and labor rights, and they get so scared that they run away so quickly that for a second you see just smoke in the shape of all of them, and then suddenly they're gone, and Boss Rat, who is visibly sweating the second you start talking about profit sharing and equity, comes up and starts grabbing his construction workers and pulling them out of the syrup, and he's getting flustered, and I think at this point a crowd has started to gather. I think at this point a crowd is starting to gather a little bit, and they're watching you, and they're watching Boss Rat, and he goes, it doesn't, you can stay here and watch me tear down this convention center if you want, because the truth is, and he holds out a piece of paper and he says, I have the deed to this convention center. I can do with this property what I want. And the people are looking around, and everybody's starting to notice that the convention center is taped up and that there won't be a space for festivals and gatherings anymore. What do you do, Moxie?
I light the paper on fire.
Oh, no. That sounds like it's a sword action.
I don't like it that what? No, wait, hold on.
Sure, what do you want to do?
No, I spoke too soon.
That's okay. You can always take it back. That's the joy of playing role-playing games, is that we're having a conversation together and telling a story together. If you want to do something else instead, that is perfectly all right.
I'm going to go up to a Boss Rat. I'm going to look him right in the face. And I'm going to say...
Gets down, he crouches. You're very small, so he's very big, so he's got to crouch down and get right at your level.
And I say, when is the last time that you let yourself feel like a princess?
He stops and pauses. I'm going to ask you to make, for this, that's a very good idea. That's a very good question. I'm going to ask Kate to make a heart roll and roll it with advantage. So you want to get a 5? You want a 5 or a 6? Or a 1?
Oof. All right. Oh! Moxie, look!
Oh, it's a 5! Jeff, it's a 5!
Perfect. That's a 5. I think there's a moment where we get a flashback. We see that we flash back through the years, and suddenly the two of you are standing together Moxie, are you familiar with a story called A Christmas Carol?
Christmas Carol. Is that like the generic winter holiday special?
It is. So the two of you fly back through time together, and you're standing in a memory of Boss Rats, and you reach over, you grab something, and you can't quite interact with it. You can't interact with anything in this moment because you're just watching a memory together.
Oh, I've done that before through the professor's portal all the time.
There you go. You've got it. So you're watching this memory unfold, and suddenly everything around you is black and white, and all of the lines are a lot more curved and a lot more artistic and a lot more cartoony. And you look around, and the background behind you, you're staring out, and the background of the view that you're seeing is very detailed and painted and kind of like watercolor. It's black and white, but it's very kind of ornately painted. But the people that you're seeing are very kind of cartoony, and it looks a little bit like they've been laid on top of this backdrop. And you see for a moment, a world ago, a lifetime ago, a funny little fellow named Steamboat Princess. Now, a note about princesses in this world that I'm sure you know, Moxie, is that anybody can be a princess regardless of gender or pronouns or anything about yourself. If you love joy and protecting people and being awesome, then you are a princess at heart.
That makes sense to me.
So Steamboat Princess, he's wearing a little captain's hat. You see him riding on a boat, and there's a bunch of people dancing on the boat, and he's singing them through a song. And you see Boss Rat in his big red suit with his big yellow buttons and his big round ears is sitting there, and you see tears wallow up in his eyes. You see his Steamboat Princess is dancing with all of his friends, and they're all having a happy little song. And it seems like it was a long time since, to answer your question, even though he doesn't say it, it seems like it was a very long time since Boss Rat let himself feel like a princess and not like the head of a multinational corporation that was slowly eroding copyright law for everyone on the...
So I want to take one of the many extra tiaras I hide in my Smith's Army knife.
Sure.
And I want to place it. I want to slowly take off the construction helmet on Boss Rat's head and put one of my tiaras on there. And I say, why don't you settle down and have a good time?
And then together the two of you appear back in the modern day, and Boss Rat sits for a moment, and he's quiet, and he looks at the tiara on his head, and he says, "You know what? Maybe this can be a convention center. And maybe
the real multinational corporation is the friends that we made along the way."
I think the real multinational corporation is the friends we made along the way. And he stands up and he waves his hand and he says, "Come on, everybody, we're throwing a party on the boat." And we cut, and he takes off his jacket, and he's still got his little sailor pants on and his suspenders, and he takes the tiara and he takes off the tiara for a moment, and he puts on his little sailor's captain's hat, and he puts the tiara on top of that. And the two of you run off to the boat, and there's a big party happening on Steamboat Princess's steamboat. And you get to the docks, and there's only one problem. Do you know what that problem is, Moxie?
There's no music?
Well, then I guess there's two problems. There's no music.
I didn't mean to make a problem.
Well, the one real problem is that because they all thought that PrincessFest was canceled, do you know who's not here?
The princesses?
The other princesses aren't here.
Well, how do we fix it?
You got to tell me that. How do we fix it and get the word out about PrincessFest happening on this steamboat to all the other princesses?
Well, do these princesses have telepathy? Because where I come from, every princess has telepathy.
You know, if you try hard and believe, it's worth a shot.
I'm going to try and telepathically contact the other princesses to tell them to be here.
Okay. I think that sounds to me a lot like, I'm going to say that is that's probably a book's role, I think. I think I'm going to call that a book's role, to know how to concentrate just right and get the word out and connect to the brain waves of the other princesses. Now I am going to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to roll the dice right now, or would you like to use that lesson? Either one is fine. But remember, you do have a lesson that will allow you to automatically succeed at any given roll.
I was actually going to suggest that myself, Moxie. Do you want to use your point?
Yeah, I think it's time. I want to use my lesson. I learned it, and I'm ready to contact the other princesses.
So the lesson that we learned is that if you're real friends, then you always know what the other person is up to and how you can help out. So you put the word out, you scrunch your face together and you say you gotta get to the steamboat. And sure enough, you see a big cloud over the horizon and a bunch of people, and you see all of your friends. You see Laser Princess with their laser sword, and you see Tomato Princess with a big box of tomatoes to throw at Tomato Princess when their comedy act goes really, really badly. You see all of the princesses are getting here, and sure enough, everyone gets onto the boat, and it is PrincessFest, and you save the day, which means there is one last thing to cover. Moxie, I'm going to ask you for one last thing.
Okay.
Moxie, I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to ask you to roll for this. I'm simply going to state it as a fact. How does your storytelling performance go on the boat? Because you've still got to perform. You were booked for PrincessFest.
Well, because there's not really a wall to do the projections against, I have to use my Swiss Army projection, which is a little bit different. But it ends up going in more of like a techno kind of way, and then the night turns into a rave because I become also a DJ.
Love it. I love it. I imagine this Miss Army Knife has a really good DJ. Has a really good DJ deck. That,
everybody knows DJing and maple syrup. They go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Exactly. Well, you can't have maple syrup without a tight DJ set. And so the last thing that we see is all the princesses dancing and having fun together. And we see Steamboat Princess driving around on his boat. And we see everybody having a great time. And finally, at the end of the day, you get to sit with your friends. You get to sit with Bucky and the other princesses and Steamboat Princess and just reflect on the fact that you didn't need big corporate entertainment to have a great time. You just need friends making fun together and being there for each other. And what better lesson is there to celebrate than that?
I think that's absolutely right, Jeff Stormer.
And Moxie?
Yes?
That's game.
Oh, is it the end?
That's the end.
The end, and I live happily ever after.
Everyone lives happily ever after.
That was a fun game.
Thank you. I had a really good time. Kate, did you have a good time?
I was a bit sad when I messed up the rolls when I got some ones. It was a bit dramatic there, a little stressful on my part, I won't lie. But yeah, I thought that was a really fun game, and I feel like it would be hilarious fun to play with like multiple young children.
Well, there's a wonderful mechanic in the game that we didn't really get to explore because there's just the two of us. But there's a mechanic where when you have multiple players at the table, you're all in a band together. It's just an established thing. And you get to do a mechanic. If everybody has a lesson token, you get to do a mechanic called getting the band back together, where everybody puts their tokens in a pool and you do something really cool as a team and you get to perform a musical number that's so cool that it changes the world.
Listen, that is my dream, Jeff. Like me, like that's my dream. I want more than anything to play a musical performance that would change the world.
I think that's what we're all after, frankly.
Listen, that's really what we try to do every week, Kate.
Moxie's got a point there. Got you dead to rights on that one.
Okay, Moxie, listen, we're just doing our best over here, all right? Let's just start with our best, and we'll consider changing the world at a later date.
That sounds like a good, reasonable, attainable goal. Now, real quick, before we wrap up, I've got one last question for you. I've got 2 last questions for you, Moxie.
I think I can answer 2 questions.
Did you have a good time tonight?
I had an excellent time.
Yay! Now, real quick, the last question that I want to ask you is, where can people find you and your work with the heavily edited podcast? My last question for you, Moxie, is where can people find you and your work on the Lullaby Lounge Novelty Hour online?
So you can find me at It's Me, Moxie B, on Instagram and Twitter. And you can find my friend Kate, who's been helping me run the dice, at The Goblin Mother on Instagram and Twitter. And you can watch our show on twitch.tv/KateNix every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Or you can find the videos on demand afterwards on
YouTube.
youtube.com/KateNix.
And speaking of Kate Nix, I will say, fans of this episode can go and listen to Kate Nix on her own episode.
Very different content.
Moxie, you shouldn't listen to that episode.
Very
I'm just
different
going to
content.
tell you that's not an episode for you.
Kate told me already I'm not allowed to listen to it. We've talked about
Okay.
it before. The professor
Understood.
warned me too. Honestly, even I noticed how much Dex was laughing at it, and I figured that maybe it's just not. I don't know.
That's fair. I appreciate all of that. But, Kate, Moxie, thank you both so much for coming on the show. This was a wonderful experience.
I did my first podcast.
And it was great. It was a success. And so, real quick, thank you both so much for coming onto the show. And now I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap things up.
Can I say
Take it,
it?
future me. Go for it. Take it, Moxie.
Take it, future Jeff.
Thanks, Moxie. And thanks again for coming on the show. Thank you, Kate, for joining us on the show as well. Really special episode. Really lovely. Had a great time. Could not be happier with it. Biggest smile on my face. This was a really special podcast. Be sure to check out the Lullaby Lounge Novelty Hour tomorrow, October 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/KateNix or katenix.com/lounge. I will be there. Moxie will be there. Kate will be there. It's going to be wonderful. There's magic. There's puppets. There's skits. It is a great time, and I cannot recommend it enough. Again, that is twitch.tv/KateNix or katenix.com/lounge. Also, be sure to follow Moxie on Twitter at It's Me, Moxie B, follow Kate at The Goblin Mother, and then follow us at Party of One Pod. Like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/PartyOfOnePodcast. Join our Discord community at bit.ly/PartyOfOneDiscord. Head to our merch store at bit.ly/PartyOfOneMerch. And if you enjoyed the show, consider leaving us a nice iTunes review, a social media shout out, or a word of mouth recommendation to a friend. Any of those things help new listeners find the show, which helps us do bigger, better, and cooler things. If you enjoyed this podcast and you want to listen to me talk for another hour about fantasy nonsense, you can listen to All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast powered by you. Every week, my best friend Aaron Gaetano Saez and I take a listener-submitted prompt, we spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com. The show is part of the One Shot Podcast Network. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Megaran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming onto the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that's it for me. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance, and as always, party on, everybody.